Well, I guess it's time to do my monthly wrap up. So this will be what I read in August. I didn't read a whole lot of books per se, but then again, some of them were longer. And of course, August is one of my busier months. So let's jump right in. So I listened to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, The Love Hypothesis, and House of Earth and Blood. Then I read Misrule, Dreadful Young Ladies and Other Stories, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, The Dragons, the Giant, the Women, which was a memoir, The Poppy War and the Dragon Republic, The Kuma Bear Light Novel, Volume 8, Lore Olympus, Volume 2, Harley Quinn, Black and White and Red, and I read the whole 27-volume manga series of Claymore. So, let's see. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, that is another Taylor Jenkins Reid books. As you can tell, I've kind of been reading or listening to a lot of her books over the past few months. And I thought this one was pretty good. It does, of course, have McRiva in it, and he's been in several of her books. So it was kind of cool to see, another side of him, I guess. Not really another side, he was still kind of a jerk. And that's been a thing throughout, whenever you've seen him, really. And, yeah. So I did enjoy that. It was pretty obvious, though, that Evelyn was based on Marilyn Monroe, which I didn't mind too much. I don't know a whole lot about her history, so I'm not sure exactly how closely the history was followed. But yeah, it was a pretty fun little read. I did enjoy it. Then we had The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And as I'm sure pretty much all of you know, this was originally a Star Wars fan fiction. Again, I thought it was okay. It was a cute little contemporary fake dating romance. There were some fun moments in it. Overall, it was just kind of like, okay. It was something that if you enjoy romance, I do think you might like it. I won't say it's the best out there, but it's definitely not the worst. Worth checking out. Then, House of Earth and Blood. This is actually my first Sarah J. Maas book. I've been a little iffy, on if I wanted to read any of her books, just because I've heard from several reviews that after, her first book, her male characters kind of undergo a personality transplant, and that she has a lot of Mary Sue characters. I will say she did have a kind of Mary Sue character in Bryce, but I thought the reasoning behind it was well done. So I actually did enjoy that, and it's one of my favorite books so far this year. And again, that was one I did listen to, which I would suggest reading that book rather than listening to it, because I know there was some stuff I missed out on. So I actually did buy the book as well, and I'm going to reread it at some point. Then there was Misrule, which is the second book in the Malice duology. This one I did actually read instead of listening to. I did like Misrule. I felt like it kind of veered away from the young adult that Malice had, and I felt like it did flesh out the world more, made her more of a morally gray character, and you actually see the other characters react to that. So I did really like that. Then Dreadful Young Ladies and Other Stories. was a Kelly Barnhall book, and this is one of her first adult books. They are all short stories, and I actually did really enjoy it. Um, there's stories that they just have that little touch of magic to them, at least most of them. And yes, I can definitely recommend that. I can definitely recommend her. Then I also read, also by Kelly Burnhall, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, which is one of her newer books. And I did really enjoy that as well. That was a middle grade book, and it follows a village that sacrifices a baby every year, and they sacrifice the baby to a witch, and it follows one of the boys who is kind of forced into being a leader of the community, and one of the babies that was sacrificed. And I thought it was really well done. I read it very quickly, and again, the magical realism was really well done. My main complaint with it was that the characters were kind of just black and white. They were good or they were bad. That was it. But for a middle grade novel, that is to be expected. And I thought the writing was pretty good. For a middle grade novel, some of them can feel a little simplistic in the writing style. This really didn't. It was straightforward, but it wasn't simplistic. And then I read The Dragons, the Giant, the Women, which is a memoir by Wayetu Moore. And she was born in the mid-1980s in Liberia. And this is basically her story of when Civil War broke out. It was her two sisters, and her father. Her mother was in America going to college, and so it just follows her in the first part, being a child, realizing the war is here, having to run, and making her way to her grandparents' village and how she lived there. Then it follows her as an adult, young adult and adult, after she's come to America, her coming to terms with being an immigrant, and then her coming to terms with what has happened in the past. And then the end is the story of how her mother was able to find her sisters, and her father and bring them to America. I thought it was a really good memoir. It did show the horror of war, but it wasn't graphic, and it kind of showed it through a child's eyes, like they're walking along the roads and they see all these people laying down to sleep. Obviously they're not actually sleeping, they're dead, but to a 5-year-old child, they don't want to think that, they're not going to. And I do like as well, at one point she goes to therapy and she tells her therapist, my experience really wasn't that bad. She said it was bad, but it could have been so much worse. I didn't lose anybody, and she makes the comment at one point that, even in war, there are bad people who do good things, and there are good people who do bad things. It was a very literary memoir. There was a lot of just literary elements, to the storytelling and such. And it was really good. I do recommend it if you read memoirs. And then I read The Poppy War and The Dragon Republic, which are the first 2 books in the Poppy War trilogy. And I'm not going to talk about them too much because I'm going to do a video on the whole trilogy once I finish The Burning God, which will probably be this month. I'm about 20 pages in so far. But basically it follows a young woman named Rin, and she winds up fighting, obviously, in a war. And that's all I'm going to say about that part for now. Then I read, of course, the Kuma Bear Volume 8 novel. And again, they're just a cute little short read for, if you like the isekai, brought to another world fantasy. This one kind of developed more Yuna's shops. There wasn't really a whole lot of fights in this one. It was just her coming up with new dishes for her shops and just kind of her everyday life. So it was pretty cute. Then Lore Olympus Volume 2. Yes, I have gotten into webtoons. I have also been reading Everything is Fine. And wow, some of these webtoons are like really, really good. And yeah, Lore Olympus is kind of, a cute little telling of the Hades phosphorus myth. And I do like the fact that, as many people have said, Hades doesn't steal phosphorus. She just kind of comes to this conclusion on her own, and they're friends who want more. And I just think it's really cute, really well done. And then Harley Quinn Black and White and Red is, of course, from our Harley Quinn readathon. It was a collection of short stories done all in black and white with splashes of red. And that was fun. Again, that'll be in my Harley Quinn readathon video. And then on Goodreads, I'm a member and moderator of the Manga Squad Club. And we chose Claymore for this month's manga series. And Claymore is on Shonen Jump app. So you can read the whole thing on there for free. It is 27 volumes, and I believe it's like 154 chapters. And it is set in an alternate world where there are these creatures called Yoma who eat humans, and the only people who can battle these Yoma are young female warriors who have Yoma organs and blood transplanted into them, so they can meet them on equal terms. And they are known as claymores because they use a claymore sword, and it follows a claymore named Claire and the other 46 girls that she is a claymore with. And then it does follow as well some who were claymores before her, because you find out in just volume 2 that she was taken in by a claymore. And so it follows that claymore and her cohorts for a little bit, and then there is a 6-year time gap, so obviously there's a new set then, and it follows them as well. The art was pretty well done. Some panels were a little hard to follow, but the fights themselves were well done. And then like the landscapes were beautiful. The character designs were pretty cute, and the Yoma designs were like really, really well done for the creatures. I will say this reminded me a little bit of Attack on Titan. So if you like Attack on Titan, perhaps check out Claymore. If you've read Claymore, check out Attack on Titan. And that was everything I read this month. And so yeah, like I said, I didn't get to a whole lot. Although honestly, 27 volumes of Claymore, that took me about 27 days. So, and of course the Poppy War and the Dragon Republic were both over 500 pages. So page-wise, I did read a bit this month. As for September, as I've said, I've already started the Dragon Republic. I am planning to try to read 6 Crimson Cranes, possibly the sequel, The Dragon's Promise. And then I would also like to read the manga Air Gear. And other than that, I'm not entirely sure. But I will see you at the end of September and let you know what I read.